Ugh. I'll never understand the unit circle. Wait a minute. Can't be. It is. The one thing that will help me memorize the unit circle. Well, here it goes. Are you a struggling student who can't seem to figure out the unit circle? Well, you're in the right place. Today I'm going to teach you what the unit circle is, why it's important, and the best way to memorize it. Let's begin. So I'm assuming most of you are probably asking yourself, why do I have to learn the unit circle? It will never help me in my life. Well, let me tell you, the unit circle is very important, and I'm going to explain why. Well, the unit circle is a circle with the radius of 1 unit, centered at the origin, which is at the 0 for the x-axis and 0 for the y-axis of a coordinate plane. It is often used in mathematics to study trigonometry, which involves the relationships between angles and the sides of triangles. Now, a frequent question I get asked is, Math Tutor 101 will never need to use the unit circle in our lives. It will never appear. It's only in the classroom. Well, let me tell you, the unit circle has a lot of functions. It shows up in architecture, engineering, geography, astronomy, digital imaging, and a host of other fields, many other fields. It can be used to calculate distances like the heights of mountains or how far away the stars are in the sky. They are also very useful for studying different types of waves in nature, not just in the ocean, but the behavior of light, sound, and electricity as well. Okay, now here you can see what an actual unit circle looks like. Fully completed unit circle. Now, I want to point out some important key details about the unit circle. The unit circle starts at 0 degrees, moves in a counterclockwise direction, ends at 360 degrees, and the circle is the value of the circle is 2 pi. Okay, now with this in mind, the first thing we learn about the unit circle is the degrees and how to get all the degrees. And with that, it's a very simple rule. I just want you guys to remember again that you start at 0 degrees, you go in a counterclockwise direction, and you end at 360 degrees. So what you guys do is you use the rule of 30, 15, 15, 30. Now, what does that rule mean? It means that starting from 0, you will add 30 degrees, then you'll add 15 degrees, then you'll add 15 degrees, and then you'll add 30 degrees. And once you reach 90, you repeat that process again. You add 30 degrees, 15 degrees, 15 degrees, 30 degrees, until you reach the 360 degrees. So here, taking this first quadrant for an example, we will use 0 plus 30, 30, plus 15, 45, plus 15, 60, plus 30, 90. And with that, you will be able to fill in all the degrees. Now, we will be talking about how to fill in the radians for your unit circle. And the first thing you need to know is the cross, which I've drawn here. So we know that in the unit circle, it starts at 0 and it ends at 2 pi. So we know that here it would be half of 2 pi. So what's half of 2 pi? Well, pi. And we would know that here it would be half of pi. It would have to be a value in between 0 and pi that's half of pi. So what would that be? Pi over 2. And here we would know it would have to be a value in between pi and 2 pi that is right in the half of them. So what would that be? 3 pi over 2. With this, you have the base for your unit circle for radians, and you can start filling in the rest of the values. So we come back to our unit circle. We have our cross. We understand how to get the cross. So what do? Well, we're going to start with the denominators. And we have a very special rule for the denominators. It is the rule of 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 6. How do we apply this rule? Well, take your pencil, start from the middle, and go either up or down. We're going to start up to pi over 2. And you just fill in your denominators using the rule of 3, 4, 6. So 3, 4, 6. Again to the other side. 3, 4, 6. Come back down. You go to 3 pi over 2 and you fill in again. 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 6. And with that, you have all the denominators for your radians. Okay, now that we know the denominators for our radians, we have to find the numerator. And as we can see here, the unit circle is divided into 4 equal slices. And each slice has a different rule we have to follow. So we're going to start with the easiest and the first slice. And the rule is that all the numerators are going to be pi. So no matter the denominator, the numerator is pi. For our second slice, we have to use the second rule. And that rule says that our numerator is going to be 1 less than our denominator. So we see here, our denominator is 3, so our numerator is going to be 2. 4, 3, 6, 5. And that is how we do our second slice. Our third slice is very similar to our second slice, and we use the third rule, which is our numerator is going to be 1 more than our denominator. Remember, our second slice is 1 less than our denominator, and our third is 1 more than our denominator. So here our denominator is 6, so it's going to be 7. 4, it's going to be 5. And 3, it's going to be 4. Now for our last slice, what we have to use is we have to use the fourth rule. So it's going to be denominator times 2 minus 1. Denominator times 2 minus 1. How that works is we take our denominator, 3, and we multiply it by 2, so that would give us 6, and we subtract 1. So it would be 5, here it would be 4 times 2, 8, minus 1, 7, 6 times 2, 12, minus 1, 11. And that is how we fill in our fourth slice. The last thing we have to learn is the coordinate points of the unit circle. And how do we start? Well, we start again with our cross. Here I've done a cross. So what we have to know is that it starts at point 1, 0. 1 for the x-axis, 0 for the y-axis. Then we go to 0, 1. Then we go to -1, 0. And then we go to 0, -1. And with that, we have our cross. And we are ready to fill in the rest of our coordinate points. Now, to fill in the rest of the coordinate points in our unit circle, what we have to use is follow these 2 simple rules. So the rule for the denominator first, because it's the easiest one, is that the denominator for all the points in the circle is 2. As we can see here, 2 all around for our denominator. Once we have filled that in, we can go on to the numerator. Now, for the numerator, what we do is we use the numbers 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. And we put them in this order. For our x's, we use 1, 2, and 3. And for our y's, we use 3, 2, and 1. And how do we apply this rule into our unit circle? Well, we go up to, let's start with the top, to point 0, 1. And we go filling in. Here our x's again are 1, 2, and 3. That's the order. So for our numerator, 1, 2, 3. For our x numerator. Now for our y numerator, we use the order 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. And we fill in again. 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1. We come back down to 0, -1, and we do the same. 1, 2, 3 for our x numerator. 3, 2, 1 for our y numerator. 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1. And with that, we have all of our spaces filled in with the numbers for our coordinate planes. Now that we have all of our coordinate points filled in with all the digits in the numerator and denominator, we need to know when can it be positive, and when does it have to be positive, and when does it have to be negative. Well, we can just look at this grid I created. We can see that in the first slice, our x and y values will always be positive. In our second slice, our x value now will be negative, but our y value will stay positive. In our third slice, our x and y values will be negative. And in our fourth slice, our x value will be positive and our y value will be negative. Lastly, we have to know when does the number have to have a square root and when does it not. Well, the rule tells us that all numbers except 1 have to have a square root. So every other number, which is 2 and 3, will always have a square root in its numerator. But 1 doesn't, and I'll explain why. Well, it's quite simple. Square root of 1 equals 1. So there really is no reason why we have to add the square root. But every other number in our numerators will have a square root. And that's it. We've completed it. We know now how to memorize the unit circle. We've learned the tricks. I've taught you the rules. You are ready for your exam. Now please watch this video again if you need it. Take your notes. Get ready for your exam because you will pass this exam. And please consider liking the video and subscribing. This motivates me to make more videos in the future. Thank you. Life sure is sweet. If I could take you up in paradise up above, if you would talk